Thank you, Public Protector. We have now come to our Q&A session, and my colleague will help with the roving mic. And as usual, we would like, by show of hands, to give you the opportunity to ask questions. There's one in front already. We can take two more. There's the second one, and the third one will be at the back. Thank you. Yes.
Good morning, Karen Moore from ENCA. I have two questions. I know you say you're consulting over your response to the President's attempt to interdict the release of the so-called state capture report. But could you give us any indication at this stage whether you will oppose that application or indeed whether you will abide by the decision of the court? Because it's very apparent that the previous public protector has said that that report is finalized. The President's basis for seeking the interdict is that he needs more time to respond. So do you have any views on, at this stage, as to what your attitude to this litigation will be? And then secondly, there seems to be a rhetoric, perhaps rightly or wrongly, that in these first days in office, you are attempting to attack or undermine the previous public protector, whether it's his rhetoric around using outside consultants, around donor funding, which we know now that the previous public protector has actually denied that this office actually in fact got funding from USAID. Is that an unfortunate misperception of your attitude towards the previous public protector? And indeed, what is your attitude towards the office? Because we seem to have heard a lot about what is wrong with the public protector, the previous public protector, and not so much about perhaps what you think was right with her. Thank you.
On the issue, I'm Ayanda from Drum Magazine. On the issue of cancelling external funding and cancelling consultants, how does the Office of the Public Protector plan on making more money?
My name is Gianni Canades from Eyewitness News. Public Protector, you've spoken about your office working on settling the matter of the state-owned vehicle crashed by the previous Public Protector's son in 2012. This morning, the previous Public Protector appeared to be puzzled by this, that it had resurfaced, saying that it had already been dealt with. Can you just give us some clarity on that? And in terms of the state capture report, you really have said that you're emphasizing and you're going to prioritize bringing your services to the grassroots level. We know the matter is still in court, but will it still be a priority once that matter in court has been settled?
Thank you. Thank you for the questions. Karen, responding to your question, to indicate whether I will oppose or abide by the decision of the High Court, I indicated in my statement that I'll be consulting with the attorneys. We must be doing it soon after this engagement. In fact, some of my staff, they've done that already, but they need to brief me. So I wouldn't say which direction or which advice they have given. On the attack of the previous public protector, in fact, originally I included that in my statement, but I removed it And I said, if that's the perception out there, I've clarified that the report we presented in Parliament yesterday, it was including the usage of consultants. I think it was a previous finding of a 5.5 million, which the CFO clarified that it's dated back to 2012 or 2013, and it was an audit finding. So then the deliberations went on after the questions from members of parliament about the information some of them had, which we never presented to them, especially on using consultants for the state capture report. So the response was based on that, and after having as well consulted with the management team, because the CFO will report to say these are the expenditures we are having, we're still in the process of finalizing this. So that information came out in that respect. And the issue of the donor funding, it was strategic objective 5 on the presentation of yesterday's. It's also on the annual report, which says optimal performance and purpose-driven culture. It does indicate that the public protector managed to secure US dollars, 500,000 US dollars from USA to assist with specific projects within the institution, such as case management system and training for employees. Basically, the US aid is not providing for the case management system. In fact, it's providing for the training of employees. But then for the case management system, this presentation, unfortunately, is not corrected.
GIZ, it was GIZ.
The case management system is GIZ, which is also a German institution. So that is included in the annual report. It's not information which I voluntarily or out of my own indicated. Ayanda from DRAM, I will also allow the Deputy Public Protector to add or some of the questions, because he was part of the team which was assisting Advocate Madonsela. Ayanda from DRAM, the cancelling of donor funding. I've indicated in my statement that we won't be utilizing the donor funding. We've requested Parliament to fund this institution, and we've indicated how much additional funding we have. And from the deliberations yesterday, it was clear that there would be funding us, which we are hopeful. And the other option which is there, I've mentioned now, that the Public Protector Act allows us to utilize the services of other government departments or government institutions during the investigation. So that's another option which we'll have to deliberate further on. Gia, on the car crash, the question was whether that has been taken care of. I think the Member of Parliament was also saying, are we busy with the preparations of the gratuity for the former Public Protector? The CFO indicated that, or I advised the CFO when the matter was raised by one of the media houses, let's go and check the relevant documentation, how much are the costs involved, and if indeed the costs which have been indicated by that question which was posed, we need to find a way of addressing it. And the CFO was also indicating that there were engagements between his office and the former Public Protector to check on the matter, how it can be resolved. Therefore, the matter is on the table. We are working on it with the CFO. we will engage the former public protector on taking the matter forward. So it's still not yet finalized. On prioritizing the state capture, it will depend on the decision of the court. If the court says publish the report, we'll go ahead and publish. If the court says we need to deal with the matter differently, definitely it will be prioritized. And I've indicated that is one of the Executive Members' Ethics Act cases, which requires us to finalize it within 30 days. If not, you then request the President to give, you indicate you give additional time, and then you finalize that report. Thank you.
We will move to the next round of questions. And yeah, I suggest that we take people from the left-hand side of the room. We'll take 1, 2. If there's only 2, and then we'll move on to the side of the room, and we'll start at the back.
Right. Good day. My name is Moloko Mloto from Power FM. I have 2 questions for you, ma'am. On the so-called state capture report, can you tell us if that report is preliminary or it's a final report? But also because the lawyer for the Gupta family has been complaining that they were never given an opportunity before that report was finalized or was put together to make an input. And that is what we have always been hearing, that the provisional report will be given to people who are investigated. What is the law saying in that regard? Is the public protector compelled by legislation to give people they are investigating the opportunity to make whatever they want to say about the provisional report? Secondly, there were suggestions that the previous public protector was trying to, she was in a rush to conclude that particular report, so-called state capture. And other people even insinuated that perhaps she did not trust you as her successor, that you will do justice in that matter. Do you feel perhaps undermined by that? Do you feel that the fact that she did not want to hand it over to you guys, did not have trust in you?
Good afternoon, I'm Khalambata from Bloomberg News. Public Protector, given that there's been a delay in perhaps releasing what could be the preliminary report into the state capture, or even possibly heading towards the final report, are you at all worried that these delays could undermine the integrity of the report? We know that with other high-profile cases, there were some leakages or leaks into the media with regards to some of the findings in those reports. Are you at all concerned that these delays could undermine the integrity of the state capture report?
Good afternoon, Boneko from Reuters News. Public Protector, I wanted to ask, you said that the naming of some reports has antagonized government. Can you give an example, perhaps, of a report where this has been the case? And don't you feel that the naming of a particular report merely reflects the substance of the report? Thanks.
From ANN7. My question, Public Protector, is around the issue of donor funding. Do we know who these other donors are, if there are any donors? And also, what are the intentions behind the funding? Could there be any vested interest with the donor?
We will now, yes, we have noticed you. We will afford the protector the opportunity to respond to your 4 questions.
Thank you. Thank you. I think you'll have another round. Yes. Okay. Muluku, the report which the former public protector prepared she said it herself that it's a final report. So I don't know whether it's a final report. Remember, it's kept under lock and key. So I wouldn't comment more on that. On the issue of provisional report being shared with the respondent, I indicated that to avoid a confrontation or conflict between the Office of the Private Protector with government and respondents, the best way is to share the provisional report. Indeed, the law does provide for that. Section 7, subsection 9, where if you discover that there would be a negative finding towards a person, you give that person an opportunity to provide you with further information before you compile your final report. But it will depend on whether that person is also cooperating. If the person is not cooperating, and then you can compile a report with the available information at your disposal. The rush to conclude the report that she did not trust me, I wouldn't comment on that, and I wouldn't speculate on that. The Bloomberg question, the delay in releasing the report, whether it will delay or it will undermine the integrity of the report. The report is under locks and key. I hope even in fact, that's what I requested the investigators to make sure that even the electronic version, they are the custodians of that particular report, and they need to make sure that it's not compromised. But the court is sitting on the 1st of November. We hope that we will have a direction in that particular respect. Ruta's question, the naming of reports that it antagonize the state, it's sometimes taken out of context. My approach is that if I'm investigating, I think I've indicated this yesterday, there was a Vembe pension fund matter, which is before us. We're trying to finalize, to work with the National Treasury to implement the remedial actions. It says Vembe pension fund, it relates to maladministration in the Vembe pension fund, or maladministration regarding social security. So that has, because if in your website you have a report which is clearly stating that, it's easy for any person to refer to it. It's easy for students or academics to go back to that report to refer to it. But if a report is written secure in comfort, you'll have to go deeper for you to check what report was that. Because when we publish them in our website, we don't write them with those titles. We write them the full name of that particular title. So that was the motivation behind it. The donor funding, whether they have vested interest, I wouldn't comment on that. And the additional, the only two I have is the GIZ and USAID. And already there were engagements which have been done in this particular respect. Going forward, we will check how they complete whatever has been done. Going forward, we will be then making sure that Parliament and government provides enough resources for us to do our work. Thanks.
Thank you. We will take the next set. Let's start with the
Good afternoon. My name is Regina Pata and I'm with the Mayor and Guardian. Okay. In your statement, you said also about the naming of the report that you want to avoid causing tension with the state. That you want to avoid causing tension with the state. And that also influenced your decision to change the way that you name reports, that you would want tension with the state.
Good afternoon, Alton Cynthia from SABC TV News. The first question is, tomorrow when you file the responding affidavit in the litigation that has been brought by the President and the Minister, how do you respond to an affidavit? How do you file a responding affidavit when you yourself do not have access to the contents of the report, and how about that investigation was ensued? Because ordinarily you will be the person who signs off on that on that affidavit. Do you think that, considering the decision taken by the court, you found yourself in a very difficult situation? And finally, I don't know if anyone on the panel will be able to answer this. I don't know, Kevin, if you'll be able to answer this. Does the Office of the Public Protector, or the new Public Protector, have any powers to reopen a case and say that this case has been finalized by my predecessor, but I have a feeling that we should start the investigation over, considering all the litigation that has been brought forward?
Thank you. Sidi Madia from News 24. I just wanted to find out with regards to capacity. I mean, the issue with consultants bringing outsourcing is because, in essence, maybe that need is not available within the office. Have you checked if you've got the accountants required to do this place thoroughly and those kind of officials? Thank you.
I'm Bongani Nkose from the Sowetan. Yeah, my question relates to capacity as well. On the plan to team up with the Department of Justice, yes, it sounds like a visionary plan, but is it truly feasible? Because I can imagine that the public protector does not have the same complement of, let's say, magistrates. So will you have enough, people to be everywhere in the country?
There was a lady.
Yes, she's been handed up for a while.
Yeah.
Hello, Public Protector. I'm Claudie Madovich from Netwerk 24. I just wanted to find out with regards to you requesting that Parliament should fund the Public Protector's office. I'm stepping away from donor funding there. Wouldn't this influence the so-called perception of independence in the Office of the Public Protector? As the Public Protector's office is a watchdog, and keeping the executive to account is a very important part of the office jobs. Thank you so much.
Public Protector, my name is Matuma Litwalo from Mail and Guardian. I just wanted you to explain, what do you think is the danger of using foreign donors, and also the use of consultant, which I thought came as a result of the lack of capacity in in your office. What do you think is the problem with having used the PwC for the state capture investigation? And also, your predecessor was accused, several times of being influenced by outside forces. What would be your reaction to that, and how different are you going to be approaching issues to ensure that you eliminate or reduce those kind of accusations? And last one is, what in your view you think were the weaknesses with the previous public protector, and what you think, just maybe just few of her key achievements.
Final question, Moloko again. Ironically, your predecessor was accused mainly by people who supported President Jacob Zuma and other senior leaders in the ANC of being a CIA spy. You were also accused by the Democratic Alliance. Do you get a sense that because you have received so much support from ANC members and leaders, perhaps that might create an impression that you will probably be a lackey of the ANC?
Yes, we will afford the Protector the opportunity to respond, and we will then proceed and take the last round of questions.
Thank you, Kalala. The question by Mail and Guardian, the tension with the state regarding the naming, that decision was taken when we met with management. It was not influenced by how Parliament is viewing it. I am an independent person or independent thinker, and to me it made sense to have a title of the report which will be easily accessible. And if one wants to refer to that report, which is very important, they will be able to find it. SABC, the filing of the affidavit without having the content of the report. Remember, the main issue is publishing the report. Therefore, if mentioned there as one of the respondents, we will have to indicate whether we oppose or we agree. So it's basically that, not dwelling much on the content of the report. It will depend on what direction I'm advised on. And on the issue of the report which has already been done, the public protector is functus officio, meaning that report, if it's finalized, it's up to the court to decide. I think Advocate Malunga will also add, it's up to the court to decide whether it's finalized, it needs to be published, or it's not ready yet for publication. What direction must that report take? But I wouldn't get the finalized report now and start afresh and redo it, unless there's a complaint from the applicant to say, I need additional things to be added. Then we can go further and complement that report. On the issue of capacity, we are busy with the skills audit and making sure that we identify, because we've already identified what capacity we would need. As I indicated, forensics, auditing, procurement law. The office is busy training our investigators on procurement law, and going forward, the money we've requested is to capacitate the office with those key skills. Working with Department of Justice, whether it's feasible enough people to handle the matter throughout the country. We will compile a comprehensive report or plan which will indicate the capacity we would need, the key priorities of the areas we would want to prioritize, and the budget which we will need to have to capacitate all the offices. So that will be a plan, and as I indicated, that will be shared as soon as it's ready, and it has been deliberated on. The national, whether Parliament will influence the office, we currently get our funding from government. So the office has never been influenced because of that fact. So we'll continue to receive funding, hence we were requesting additional funding. And again, indicating that if we have additional funding, we can employ the capacity which we need. There won't be any need to even consider other sources of funding. The issue of the danger of using foreign donors and consultants. The issue of foreign donors is common knowledge that, and I think some of you have done political science. Sometimes there is a tendency of expecting you to be doing what, like they give you an agenda to say, we give you this money, and then this is what you'll be doing. I think this is known information as well, politics. You fund like your Brentwood institutions where you will be given money as an African country, but then there are conditions to say you need to meet this. So in this particular instance is that our legislation says, and the Constitution, we need to support constitutional democracy. Government should be funding us. Therefore, we require additional funding so that we don't depend on any other country for funding. Consultants, we do have a provision in the Public Protector Act, as I indicated, Section 7.3, that we can approach other institutions in government or public affairs to avail the resources or the skill, in fact, to avail the skill which we need. And that particular institution can be called to account in Parliament why possibly they've abused the resources. But you cannot call a consultant to go and account in Parliament. You cannot audit a consultant, you will audit the institution. So it's better if we utilize our capacity or people who can be held accountable. It's taxpayers' money, and we need to make sure that we treat it with respect. I wouldn't comment on my predecessor, and I think she has answered some of the questions when asked. From my side, to eliminate or reduce that influence, again, it goes back to being independent, acting without fear or favor, and making sure that the rule of law is my guiding principle. So there's no possibility of that. I wouldn't indicate the weaknesses. The achievements from her side is that she managed to stick to being a public protector who strengthened constitutional democracy, and she acted without fear or favor, or she reflected that in her operations. So that, I would say, it's her achievement. Her being accused as a spy, yes, I was also accused as a spy, and that ANC supported, all political parties except the DA supported my appointment. So I wouldn't comment whether it's a perception. People can draw their own conclusion. But if you are objective, you'll see that all political parties have recommended my appointment. So I will be doing my job without fear or favor, and being obligated by the Constitution or the rule of law? Thank you.
We are now taking the last round of questions. The three will take the last one.
I believe there's one question on Agnes and Pierre.
She wanted to respond.
Yes, just to
Okay, let's start the end. We will end here.
clarification on
Okay, sorry, Ms. Nadia, the Public Protector would like to respond to that.
But the DPP wants to clarify.
Yeah, there's Mr. Arden and Pierre's question, that can we go back to a report and start from scratch? Hypothetically, yes, we do have review mechanisms within the Public Protector Act, and of course we do have a review system. For example, when a file has been closed here, and the complainant is unhappy, that happens. But that has not happened with a formal report. It's never happened before. So that would, I would say, would be new territory. It happens very often with, say, someone whose file has been investigated and they're not happy with the outcome. We do, because remember, our findings and our adjudications are administrative action in many ways. So if for example, someone feels that one side of the coin has not been heard, the Audi Terum Partem rule has not been sufficiently complied with, I suspect that could be possible. But as I said, it has not happened with a formal report that we do it internally. We have done it externally in the sense that the Supreme Court of Appeal has had to rule on these issues, and ultimately the Constitutional Court has had to rule on many of these issues. So I think one thing that perhaps members of the public need to be aware of is that there are so many other outstanding legal issues that probably the courts will have to pronounce on regarding the work of the public protector in terms of, for example, people often raise prescription, if I use that as an example, ma'am, to say we don't want to pay supply X or Y because such their claim is prescribed. All those things we always have felt that if they're under the Public Protector Act, you can't defend maladministration using prescription. So there are a lot of things that are still coming up in the pipeline in the courts, and what you are alluding to has not happened internally to the best of my knowledge. But reviews of investigations happen all the time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you again. Public Protector, I just wanted to get your thoughts. You are a female who's earned your space. Your successor also earned her space. But the one thing that is quite obvious is this narrative to put you guys against each other. I've heard some of the questions here today. I've read some of the articles. What do you make of that, where the media and I guess everyone else around us is trying to look at one female and put them up against another? Thank you.
On the question that I asked before, the first question, in the application itself by the president as well as the minister, is that they're looking for the report to be opened because they feel that they haven't been given enough time to respond to those questions. And it's not just a matter of whether the report should be publicized or not. It's based on what they say they haven't been given an opportunity in terms of the Public Protectors Act. So now my question is, how is it possible for the Public Protector to sign off on an affidavit that speaks to a report that she hasn't had access to in terms of the processes followed in getting information or ascertaining information from the two applicants in this matter?
And just following on from Aldrin's question, a preservation order, as you well know, was granted in this case to preserve the so-called state capture report, as Judy Madansela has said, the final report in its entirety. Now, I just need to clarify, you've suggested that you may be open to complementing the report if the respondent, if the applicant in this case, President Jacob Zuma, wants to make kind of submissions or provide additional information. is that not a potential subversion of the legal process here? Because there is a preservation document and the court has ordered that this report needs to be kept in its original form. So we seem to be in a bit of a tight spot, legally speaking here. I mean, I don't know if it's a fair question to ask you, but there is a concern that there is a court order preserving this report as it currently stands. Thank you.
Hi, Sleep from News. I just wanted to know from the public protector if the office will be looking into the fees crisis.
All right, ma'am. Moloko again. I don't understand if the report, the state capture report, is in your possession as the institution. Why you say you have not seen it? I understand you say it's under lock and key. Who has the lock? I mean, you as the most senior official here, my understanding is that you should have seen it. Why did you not see it?
The narrative of putting us against each other, I would say it's unfair to do that. I think Advocate Madonsela has mentioned several times that she is Tuli Madonsela and I'm Busisiwe Mkhwebane. And she has run her race, I will do my part. So if we can be supported in our spaces, and she had her own approach, I also have my own approach. So I wouldn't answer to say why is that happening. So South Africans, the media, they have their own views. But to put the record straight, we are not in competition. We are serving our people. We are making sure that the country or the democracy is enjoyed by all who live in it. Application for the report to be opened and me responding, I said it, even if it deals with the content or not. The matter is sub judice. Remember, I said Advocate Madonsela indicated that she has finalized the report. Therefore, I wouldn't preempt what the court is going to decide. And I indicated this morning that I have a meeting where I will be engaging deeper with the legal advisors and the attorneys to find a way forward. And Karen, is true what you're saying. Let's say the report is preserved as it's the final report as it was indicated. It must be kept under lock and keys and kept in its original form. But remember, the court will decide what, we can't preempt the court, what will the court decide. So just to clarify that the report, it's in its original form. The fees crisis, the public protector has one of the powers of alternative dispute resolution, engaging in fact, that's what we do daily in our operations or our investigations. It doesn't mean only the fees must fall crisis. If there's an applicant and a respondent having challenges, we apply that alternative dispute resolution so that it doesn't end up being a violent, or that's what we are also applying in municipalities, or we're trying to apply on service delivery, protest. We're saying, let's communicate, let's go to the communities. We can also engage with the community so that we can find a solution. So in this instance, with a lot of pressures, and I'm only 4 days in the office, we will engage with the management and the leadership of the institution. Definitely, it's also one of the key issues which we need to be able to be assisting. Whether it's in our position, I've received the report from the Speaker of Parliament. It was kept in an envelope in its original format. And remember, the report must be kept until such time the court can give a go-ahead. I indicated in Parliament yesterday that, in 4 days, I don't have the tools to secure certain documents. It's in the safe. It's in the safe of the head of legal services within the institution. So that's why I'm saying we will keep it until such time we can engage on the report. So for now, it's kept there. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Public Protector. We have come to the end of the briefing, and I have a few announcements to make. I'm sure you have all been given copies of the statement. We're also distributing the copies of the annual report. And some of you have asked to take few pictures of the Public Protector in her office. I ask that you go to my colleague at the back in the orange top.